Hey, vinyl community, this is Rich at Embarrassment of Riches, and I'm here to share part two of my April vinyl pickups video because it was such a huge month for vinyl. I got quite a stack, and I might have to break this up into even a third video after this one to capture all the cool stuff that I got that I'd like to share with everyone. And that includes the couple that I did pick up for Record Store Day, which wasn't a huge deal to me this year. I didn't get up and go, but I got a couple of titles that I'm pretty happy to have. Now, you know I normally try to stick to talking about only vinyl records on this channel. Every once in a while, I'll try to slip in a really cool comic book that I picked up because I am a longtime collector of comic books, or a new poster because I also collect posters. But this toy right here was just too good to not talk about. And this was finally delivered after a very, very long pre-order wait. It was about a year, and it was getting to be frantic of wondering if this was going to show up at all. Especially since I believe this shipped from Brazil, where this store is headquartered at. But this store is an incredible place. It's from a place called Big Bad Toy Store, and I've got stuff from there before, and this is one of the cool stickers that they send along with every order. I also collect a lot of stickers in this game. But it's a place that sells hyper detailed action figures, models, all kinds of kits. There's books, but mostly there's toys and action figures related to movies and cartoons. And they had this for pre-order last summer, and I could not refuse it. I'm hoping there's more in this series. And although I am saying a ton of nice things about Big Bad Toy Store, I want to make it clear that they did not sponsor this video. But I want to make it clear to them that I am a whore and I can be bought. Get in touch. You are exhausting. And for anyone who's not crusty and ancient enough to know this on site, this is from a cartoon in the 1970s that was known as the Wacky Races. And it was basically how it sounded. There was a group of funny-looking race cars driven by funny-looking people and creatures, and I'm not sure where the finish line ever was, but it seemed like they showed the same 2 or 3 episodes over and over again. But we all loved watching it in the 1970s. So if you're of a certain age, this might seem pretty cool. If you're not into that sort of thing, I understand, but I love this. And I am really hoping, and not worrying too much about my shelf space, that they do release a few other cars from that cartoon, because there was also a car for Captain Caveman, which was another cartoon in its own right. Really funny character, and he had a cool car. And also there was Penelope Pitstop, who had a really cool pink car and was a favorite of my wife, and most all of the little girls that I grew up with really enjoyed the Penelope Pitstop character. Yeah, this could get to be a very expensive proposition and take up a lot of space if they were to release a whole bunch of these, but I am hoping this is the first in a series. I haven't seen anything pre-order-wise for any of the other cars, but I am definitely keeping my eyes open. I mean, look at that. Top pops off, the figures slide right in. You can change out the rims. They can. There's some that have blades on them. There is a robot arm that attaches to the side that throws out a bunch of tacks on the road for the other cars to get flat tires. It's called the Mean Machine for a reason. And another thing, we're going to Japan and Korea in about 20 days, I think. We're going to be there for almost 3 weeks. And I'd like to know if anybody in the vinyl community has had experience record shopping in Japan, which is, of course, a massive mecca for vinyl collectors, also for toy collectors, comic book collectors, art collectors. It's gonna be a strain on the wallet. But I have some questions. I've watched a number of videos, but I'm not sure about the moving of the records. Like our trip starts in Japan, so I'm going to have hopefully a nice little trove of records to carry with me, but the weight starts to accumulate along the stops. And I know that there's this service, or there's many services that forward your luggage from hotel to hotel. That's supposed to be a normal thing, which doesn't really happen all that often here in the States. So if that works out really well, I'll be cool. But I'd like to hear from anybody on their experiences in Japan about how they handled moving their vinyl. I think I'll be okay for how I'm going to pad everything up in the suitcase to take home. Like, I'm pretty good at shipping things, so I'll bring bubble wrap or buy some there, wrap them up in towels or t-shirts. I mean, they're going to more than likely be packed as well as they possibly can be. And I'm not above leaving some things behind to have more room for records. Like, they can deal with my dirty socks and dirty t-shirts if I don't want them, if I can slip a couple more records in the suitcase.
Allegedly.
So please let me know how your experience went, and maybe you can pass on some of your wisdom here to a first-timer. And lastly, before I get to the records, and I appreciate your patience for all these updates, we just got back from a long weekend trip to Las Vegas for my oldest son's graduation. He got his master's in history, and we're very, very proud of him. Although we're kind of over going to Las Vegas. My wife and I both grew up in Southern California. So it was basically, from where I grew up, it was a 3-hour drive to Las Vegas. And as soon as me and all my friends turned 18, we just did that city to death and got kind of burnt out on it and realized, we don't have the kind of money to have a whole lot of fun there. I tend to always fall back on my dad's wisdom. When somebody had asked him why he doesn't gamble, he would answer, "I don't hate money." And that's kind of carried me along and prevented me from becoming some kind of inveterate gambler. At Vegas, I mean, I am buying cards and comic books, and is that my way of gambling? No. And even though I am kind of over a lot of the experiences in the city, it was awesome to see my son graduate. And he graduated with honors from the history department for having the best defense of his thesis this year. I'm over the moon proud of my boy there. And we had a decent time. The hotel was really nice. I finally got to go to the Punk Rock Museum, which my son and I had talked about doing together for many years. And we made time, that's last Saturday, to go and do it. And it was really cool. If you love punk rock, it's a cool spot to go to. I only got a couple of things. Luckily, they didn't have a section selling records or anything. There was a lobby with some merch. I got a t-shirt, I think a sticker, and I bought a postcard for Mike up in Buffalo, MGK Boston. He collects those postcards. I'm going to send that thing off to him this week, and he'll have another one for his wall. While we were at the Vegas airport, I was also able to peruse some of the kiosks there and found a cool little deck of playing cards with pictures of David Bowie. I thought there would only be like the picture that's on the deck itself. Where is that thing? I am not too sure how this is going to show up with the lighting in here tonight, but that is the picture from the Aladdin Sane album cover. And I was thinking that that would be on the back of every card. And it's there's 52 distinct separate pictures of David Bowie in this deck. It's really cool. Hopefully I can throw in a little montage here of me laying them out, but there's pictures from every phase of his career. And it was like $5 or $6. It's not a huge deal, and it's a cool little souvenir from a city that I rarely pick up souvenirs from anymore. Okay, and on to the records finally. I'm going to start off with two here that are from the same label at around the same time, I think about 1990. And I found these at a local record store out here, and it just blew my mind that they would have these because I haven't seen anything like these since I lived in Southern California, so I had to grab them immediately. And these are both from Adrian Sherwood's On You Sound label, which if you are old and crusty like myself and sloughing off towards decrepitude, you will be familiar with these things. He would mix up records and create long medleys that would take up a whole side of a record, and often you'd hear them at clubs. I've heard some people say they heard them on college radio as well. I never heard them on the radio, but I was dragged to a couple of clubs back in the day, kicking and screaming and very unwilling, because so often the music was just balls. Like, the music I liked, they generally didn't play in clubs that the people I was hanging with at that time would enjoy. So it was a very rare thing to find good stuff there and be happy with the music that was being played. And I don't know a whole lot about On You Sound. I am familiar with Adrian Sherwood. He is famous, and his fame that I'm aware of extends to these records that he would make, where the entire side would be a mix or a medley of a particular band's greatest hits or most danceable songs. And there were a few of these, and I used to see them all the time at Mad Platter in Riverside and Claremont. It was at Rhino Records. And I never picked them up, but I always wanted to. So when I saw these for a cheap price, I knew I had to grab them. The store owner also knew that I would be interested in these, and he walked me over to where they were. And I'm going to hold this record correctly, but it may not look like it, so if you don't like it, turn your head away. This one is the Depeche Mode Megamix. And I'm not sure how authorized he was to make these. They always kind of seem to exist in the gray area of bootleg, non-bootleg whenever I'd see them, but they were cool. I mean, it's cool to listen to, and this is basically, on this side, a 25-minute megamix of it starts with Everything Counts and goes all the way to Policy of Truth. So it's a pretty good fillet of Depeche Mode's career. And of course, it's very danceable. It is a club record after all. Yeah, I loved the music and hated the clubs. It is very difficult to go wrong with 25 straight minutes of Depeche Mode hits, right? That works for me. And right next to that Depeche Mode joint in the bins was this one. And this is Adrian Sherwood's treatment of New Order's greatest hits at that time. I mean, they had enough by 1990. And this is called Blue Order. And oddly enough, the B-side on this has what's called bonus Bronski beats, which is an odd thing to throw on with New Order, but yeah, I like Bronski beat. Now, the credits on this label here are for Somerville and Peter Hook. Now, I know Peter Hook from New Order and Joy Division, obviously, but isn't Jimmy Somerville from Bronski Beat? Like, there's no credits on the label here for Bernard Sumner or anybody else. It's kind of odd. That's why I wonder about the bootleg level of what's going on here. Either way, good sounding stuff. I was able to find this next one after many years of looking for this at the right price, because sometimes I would watch auctions go off into an area that I'm not willing to spend. This isn't a super expensive record, mind you. I've seen it at stores across the country in really good condition, anywhere from like $70 to $100. That's just a little more than I wanted to pay. I did pick up, where is it? I did pick up this one, and this is giving away the game right here. This is in the flat field from the Mighty Bauhaus. This is I think a 2013 repress. It also came with a CD, which I don't play CDs, so it's kind of sat in there for many years now. And this has served me very well. But always in the back of my mind, there was that itch to get a UK import, and well, I finally did. And I paid less than the number I had mentioned before, so I'm super stoked. The jacket has some issues. You can see there's a little chewing up around here, but I mean, everything looks intact. There's no extra ring wear. It's got the Made in England import sticker on it. This is, of course, the 4AD classic In the Flat Field, which is my all-time favorite Bauhaus song, by far. You know, I guess I am just a sucker for Greek mythology and Gothic imagery, and that song pretty much contains the best elements of that. There's that blue 4AD label. Beautiful thing. This is in really, Really excellent condition and sounds great on my stereo. I do not have any other original pressings from Bauhaus, so that's a quest I'm on as well. This is a hell of a start. It's hard to go wrong here. There's A God in an Alcove and Stigmata Martyr are some of my other favorites, but there's no reason to pick the needle up on this one at all. Just drop it and let it play, both sides. All-time classic. And next up here is one I bought simply on the strength of a recommendation while I was on YouTube. Out of nowhere, flashed up as a mix of songs. I'm into the funk, so every once in a while it'll do that. And I had not heard of Rasputin's Stash before. What was recommended to me was the songs Your Love Is Certified and Mr. Cool, and I loved both of them, so you know I started looking for this record almost immediately after that. And it's not an expensive record, so you know that's my favorite kind of record hunt. And I've never seen anyone in the vinyl community talk about this record before. If you have, leave a comment and I'll go watch what you have to say, but man, I really like this one. I love finding new to me, but old music. I love it when it just pops out of thin air like that. I mean, the algorithm seems to have me down pretty well. And really, was there anything cooler in 1971 than having a t-shirt, but also wearing a bow tie? You got to admire that kind of confidence. And because I am apparently unable to get something new without going down a tremendous rabbit hole trying to find out everything I can about it, this was really no different here. And I started looking into what I could find about the singer here, Martin Dumas, or Dumas, depending upon how much of a Francophile he is with his last name. But Martin Dumas Jr. is what I ended up looking for. And that led to a really cool little section of information about a couple of soul singles from the 1960s that he participated in. I saved a couple of pages and pictures on it because I wanted to share this information that I thought was really cool. And the first one that I could find was from Jimmy Burns and the Fantastic Epics that came out in 1966. It's called You're Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone. And it seems that the entirety of the Fantastic Epics on the second part of that name is basically just Martin Dumas Jr. himself. Maybe overdubbed or producing, I'm not sure what he did, but you can hear some of the voice in there. And that 45 will generally cost you around $400, and that's even if you can find one. And slightly before the release of that 7-inch, there was one from the Fantastic Epics alone called Let's Get Together. That one is also incredibly collectible and will cost you a couple $100 if you can find one. And doing that kind of deep dive and looking for new information and learning things is what I love most about being on Discogs. It's a wonderful database and a place to put your records and know exactly the record you have. But I like to go in and find out the most minute, rare info I can about the records that I like and some of the ones that I'm learning to like. And it reminds me of a couple of videos I made in the last couple of years that I like to call Discogs Impossible, where I do these kind of dives and show records that are super rare and very valuable. Like none of these things are going to be able to be purchased by me in this lifetime. But I do love looking around and finding that they even exist. You know, some of these are so rare, the test pressings, or there were only a few made and they were given out to the band and the family, what have you. I really like that kind of stuff. And especially for the bands that I like that are popular, I enjoy finding the most rare thing that they have put out in some kind of music media form. And whenever I find that, I take a screenshot or I screen record looking at it and checking the page, and I put it in a folder on my desktop that I go back to. And I will shoot another Discogs Impossible. This next one will be part 3, and I've already got, I think, 10 records picked out for it. I just got to shoot the video, edit, and put it up. This next one here is a 10 LP box set that I was able to pick up for a super, super cheap price. And it's from 1983, and it's a 10 LP box from Willie Nelson. And although this does seem to me to be kind of a crass money grab from Columbia Records, because Willie was having yet another of his umpteenth career resurgences in 1983. He was riding high, as it were, on the heels of the success of the Always on My Mind song and the tremendous success of the Poncho and Lefty album. Willie seems to have these resurgences every couple of years where a new generation of people finally understand what a genius this man is and how much incredible music he has shared with us over his tremendously long career. Even by 1983, this dude's been making records for nearly 30 years. And I believe in 1983 was also the same year that he released the Tougher Than Leather album, which was also very successful for him. So by all accounts, 1983 was a tremendously successful year for young Willie Hugh Nelson over here. And just think that the very next year he would release To All the Girls I've Loved Before with Mike MGK Boston's favorite, Julio Iglesias. And that would be a massive international hit for the both of them. Has anybody had more career resurgences than Willie Nelson? Like, to those of us who love him, he never really went away.
Nice.
But he is definitely a uniquely American treasure. Whenever I can get a 10 LP set of Willie Nelson records for about 45 bucks, I think it was, all unplayed, mind you. And this 83 was 43 years ago. And I'm going to share these as quick as I can in the interest of time. This is the previously mentioned Tougher Than Leather. There is Willie Sings Chris Christopherson, which works for me because I was never a fan of Christopherson's voice, but he was a great songwriter. And next up is a 2 LP set of Willie and the Family Live, which is awesome. That's 1. And that's 2. And here is another beautiful album from him, Stardust, which I don't have a great copy of this one. I have wanted to find the MoFi from way back, but that seems to be a pricey thing to find. We also have To Lefty from Willie and Troublemaker, which is another great album. And this next one is one that I didn't already have in my Willie Nelson collection. This is The Sound in Your Mind. I'm going to listen to that one really soon. And I'm saving my favorite here for the penultimate reveal. This is yet another copy of Red-Headed Stranger for me. I've got a couple. I don't know if you've seen previous videos, but Red-Headed Stranger is one of my probably top 5 albums of all time. And I'll show you something that I think is really cool right here in a second. And because brevity truly is the soul of wit, I'm going to try to share these as fast as I can. I'm just nuts about this album. I think at this point I have 17 copies of this record that are not in box sets contained. I don't take them out to put them in this larger portion, but they're separate pressings. There's still a couple I'm after. Obviously, I want to look for a Japanese pressing when I'm in Japan in June. But here we go. I've got just a few here to share. You know, just love to see it. Got some promo corner cuts, saw cuts, represses, originals. I have a 50th anniversary. I've got somewhere in there, I've got the Live in Austin. He did a concert for Austin City Limits where pretty much played the whole album, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great album. If you haven't experienced it, I highly recommend it. Obviously. Like I said, that's pretty cool. Finishes off with picture disc for Always on My Mind, which is, of course, just such a beautiful song and a great album. But I would recommend that you never get it in this box set, because this is hot dog shit on wax. It sounds so terrible. It is the zenith of everything bad that you've ever heard about playing a picture disc, man. And even though these were mainly unplayed from as far as I could tell, I put a thorough cleaning on this one before I put it on the table, and oh God, it sounded bad. Yeah. So that's a whole bunch of Willie Nelson albums for a pretty cheap price. And it's not my only Willie Nelson box set now that I think about it. Hold on a tick. All right, found this one pretty quick. This is I think this 5LP Reader's Digest money grab from the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, yeah. I mean, as long as Willie's getting paid, that's fine with me. But man, yeah. I also have another one. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty obvious to anybody why this is my personal favorite one. But this beefy boy right here is a massive box set from back when Vinyl Me Please was not robbing people. This was 2022, probably the most I've ever paid for one single music item. It's so beautifully put together. This is a super sturdy box. And it is just chock full of beautiful remasters of Willie Nelson records. I think they only made 1,000 of these. Yeah, there's 7 albums in here, and they are all the best versions of those records that I have in my collection for Willie Nelson. And if you peep this, it is one more copy of The Immortal Red-Headed Stranger. I got a few. And as long as the Red-Headed Stranger is cheap, I'm going to keep looking out for different pressings and variations whenever I can find them, because there's not a whole lot of Immortal records that you can get that are that old. It's over 50 years old. I think it was 75 it came out. And you can find an excellent copy for 20 bucks. And it is worth your time. If you haven't yet, and you like country music at all, or you're a fan of Willie Nelson as an individual, it's worth your time. And even though I am a wildly obsessive Willie Nelson fan, I understand that I'm not going to ever own the full discography, nor would I really want to. I just love the records that I love. And doing a minimal look on Discogs will show you that he has 600 compilations alone. I mean, I will always keep my eyes open for box sets and stuff like that. And maybe if there's a double LP compilation that I don't have already, I might pick it up. There's a few really cool German and UK imports that I would like to get, but you don't run across those very often in the States, and I am not paying shipping fees on records the way things are going. But yeah, 600 compilations alone. And on top of those compilation numbers, there are 250 or more singles and EPs of material he's released from the beginning of his career until now. And there are over 100 unique brand new material studio albums. Like, dude is prolific. Fuck, I'm tired. And if such a thing can be imagined, here is a Parliament record that I didn't already have. This is 1978's Motor Booty Affair. And I was lucky enough to pick that one up with the 7-inch single for Aqua Boogie, which is nice, although I prefer the album version. Of course, it's longer, but like any other Parliament or Funkadelic record, this one comes with some crazy cool extras. You know, there's records they released that you could get an iron-on t-shirt transfer. There are some excellent posters from the live P-Funk Earth Tour. And there was one other one, Funkadelic versus the Placebo Syndrome, had the awesome Overton Lloyd comic book. I've spoken before of how much I love the artwork of Overton Lloyd. And there was not a better marriage of artist and graphic designer in my mind in the 1970s for funk records than the meeting of these two minds, George Clinton and Overton Lloyd. And if you're familiar with this joint, you will understand how hard it is to find one fully intact with all the little pop-out standee figures and the gatefold in good enough condition to hold them up, because they fold out and they stand up. I'm not trying to damage these things, but typical George Clinton characters in there. And everybody boarding the submarine there and the way that they boarded the mothership a couple of years earlier. And the period between 1977 and 1979 for George Clinton with Parliament Funkadelic released an incredible amount of music. Now let's see, there was the live P-Funk Earth Tour double LP, the previously mentioned Funkentelechy versus the Placebo Syndrome, the Motor Booty Affair, Glory Holla Stupid, Pin the Tail on the Funky. Those were the Funkadelic offerings from Parliament in that same time frame. You can also include Uncle Jam's Army and One Nation Under a Groove. An incredible output of music. Woo! And that makes 5 rather long studio LPs and 1 really good double LP live record. Just makes me sad that while all this was going on, I was about 5 or 6 years old and obviously not going to concerts. But I did finally get to see George Clinton with the P-Funk All-Stars at Lollapalooza in 1994. And that's a really cool memory. I love that show. I did swear to myself many years ago that I wouldn't become a collector of the 7-inch records. It just seems like such a pain in the ass to get up every 2.5, 3 minutes to flip it over or change the record. But I find myself now, over the last year or so, buying a couple every month. I'm trying to be very strict about it and keeping it only to my most favorite things. And when something like this pops up, you got to pick it up. This is Bobby Caldwell's What You Don't Do for Love. The 7-inch was released in 1979. Massive, massive hit record. If you don't think you know the song, trust me, you know the song. It was played to death on the radio, and it's very good, and it's probably stuck in your head. So if you were to go to YouTube or whatever service you use for music, you'd find it and you'd listen to it and be like, oh yeah, I know that one. This one is released on heart-shaped vinyl. How sweet is that? Bright red. This is in really great condition. I don't know how often I'm going to play this one. This needs a cleaning though. This Red Heart edition to me seemed like it would be the rarer one, but turns out that there's also a black vinyl version that is harder to find. So yeah, I think you know what I'm going to be looking for in the future. This next one I saw up for pre-order a few months ago and absolutely had to jump on it. I have a couple of the original pressings. I have a UK and a US, but this is the 35th anniversary edition with an additional disc. It's a 2 LP set, and this is Some Friendly from the Charlatans. Charlatans UK, I suppose, but they've always been the Charlatans to me. I'm unable to think of another band at that time from this whole scene that worked in the Hammond organ as well as the Charlatans did. It gave their music a funky dimension that a lot of the other bands did not have. And although they were 2 hours away from Manchester, coming from the West Midlands, they were definitely part of that Manchester baggy trouser sound that was going on at the time that we all loved so much, and still makes up a pretty decent portion of the music that I continue to listen to this day, as evidenced with buying this. And I think like a lot of other people my age, we became aware of the Charlatans when we heard the single for The Only One I Know. I heard it on K-Rock coming out of Los Angeles and saw the video on 120 Minutes, which made me want to run out and buy this record as fast as I could. There's a lot of good songs on this one. White Shirt is probably my other favorite, but there's also Then and Sprosting Green. This is a classic. Yoink. I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first 2 LP presentation of this record, and the second disc contains 9 songs that were from the singles that are chosen by Tim Burgess himself, the singer of the band. This feels like a much more well thought out and presented anniversary version than we were given in 2019 for the Record Store Day version. I think that was on clear vinyl. It sounded okay, but this is an anniversary. This is an occasion. I kind of want some extras. especially for a band that produced some great 12-inch singles at the time that had great B-sides that us in America, it was very hard to find these 12-inch singles and to listen to these B-sides. So it's nice to have them all here in one package. Now, it's not all the B-sides, mind you. They could have included songs from the Indian Rope 12-inch, like the title track and You Can Talk to Me. That would have been good on here as well. There was also the 12-inch edit of Sproston Green and Happy to Die from the Over Rising single in 1991. I imagine that those weren't included because they just ran out of space. I mean, there's only 22 to 24 minutes of uncompressed music you can get on a side, and having all those extras and maybe one or two one-offs would have made this a 3 LP set, which I would have happily paid for a 3 LP version of this. Who knows, they might do that for the 40th anniversary edition, which I'll probably still buy. But this one sounds really nice. It is on like a bone white vinyl as well. Share that really quick here. Look at that. That is nice. Sounds great too. I've had some white vinyl records that did not sound all that amazing, but this is really good. Oh, and it's got one of these things. I forget what they're called. If you've made it this long, then I sincerely thank you for your patience and hope that the records have been as interesting to you as they are to me. And these last two here that I'm going to share have something in common. It won't be readily apparent, but you'll see. First one up is from 1983. It's Rant and Rave with the Stray Cats, which is obviously a great record. It's their first one that was released in the US. They had two records that were pretty well received in the UK and in Asia, but for some reason, to this day, I don't know if they've actually been released out here. I mean, we all had the 7-inch singles for Stray Cat Strut and Rock This Town, but no album at that time was to be found anywhere. This one, though, I bought, even though I have this one in another format, and this does have a saw cut here at the top for a remainder. This is still sealed from 1983, and it's got the hype sticker is still on it. The plastic is fully intact, and it doesn't seem to be rounding out the corners at all. It's got a $1.96 price tag on it from Walmart, which in 1983, as far as I can tell, did not have quite the urban sprawl that it does now. They're everywhere now, but we didn't get a Walmart where I lived until the late 80s. So I'm thinking this is probably from somewhere in the South where they were still, just becoming the juggernaut that they are today. This one does have the Stray Cats Classics, Rebels Rule, and 18 Miles from Memphis. And as mentioned on the hype sticker on the front, the unfortunately named She's Sexy and 17. I am really happy to have this sealed. I probably will leave this sealed. And as time goes on, I'm understanding more and more why some people are getting records slabbed in the way that we do with cards and comic books, because I'm interested in preserving this as an artifact. I have a player copy, but I don't want this one to degrade at all, any worse than it already has. And if it's in my beefy digits here, I'm bound to drop it at some point and bend a corner. I would like to have it in some kind of solid presentation. But this was super cheap. I could not pass this up as a sealed copy. Can't do it. And the next one is the second Rudy Ray Moore album, This Pussy Belongs to Me, which you might be asking yourself, Rich, what does that have to do with the Stray Cats? And well, I guess when you think about it, there's a cat on the cover. I hadn't put those two together originally, but they're both sealed records. This one is from 1970, and I'm a Rudy Ray Moore fan. If you're not, you would probably at least know his character Dolomite that he would work into his comedy bits, and most every record of his has at least one Dolomite bit. This one has, I think it's Hurricane Annie versus Dolomite. No, Hurricane Annie meets Dolomite. Now, what made me jump up and grab this one, besides the fact that it's sealed and it was dirt cheap, is the opening track, Signifying Monkey, which is a hugely important song if you're a fan of the history of rap music. It's generally considered one of the first, or at least very earliest, raps put to music on vinyl at the time. 1970 is pretty early for that. But I grew up with Signifying Monkey, and me and my friends knew all the words to that song. There's not a lot I can talk about it on YouTube without getting into some kind of trouble, but it harks back to an ancient tale of a monkey that lies to his friend the lion in the jungle and saying that the elephant on the other side of the jungle is saying some terrible things about that lion and his mom and his sister and his grandma and basically his whole family tree. And he gets the lion to go have a fight with the elephant. Elephant beats that lion's ass. Lions come back and he beats the monkey's ass. But it's a really funny song, and you can see and really hear what would become rap shortly after. I heard this maybe a year, the first time I heard this, I heard maybe a year before I heard Rapper's Delight. And the love of wordplay and all the things that I love about hip hop really started with this and Rapper's Delight. So I'm pretty stoked to have this. I think even sealed, this is probably at best a $10 record in any store, but it means a lot to me. And there's a bunch of really nice histories of the Signifying Monkey character written that you can find books about and information online. It dates back to Yoruban antiquity and their trickster god, who just had a love of rhetoric and language, things that I really appreciate and things that I appreciate in rap music. So yeah, Rudy Ray Moore with Signifying Monkey. 2 sealed records, not a whole lot in common other than the fact that they're still wrapped in plastic after 40 and 50 years. I'm pretty stoked. So hopefully I can whittle this thing down to a reasonable size, man. I sometimes get to talking about these records and just enjoy them too much. And I want to thank anybody who's made it this far. You are my friend and I appreciate it. I have more to come. I'm going to try to make 1 or 2 more videos before we get into the swing of getting everything together for the craziness that is going to be the trip to Japan and Korea. And if you can, please come back next month because I will have a new stack of records that I've acquired in May already. There's some really cool stuff. There's re-releases from Peter Gabriel, Chris Cornell, and others, a couple of new records, some 12-inch singles that I'm trying to move into every video, a couple 7-inch singles as well. So I appreciate you coming by, and I will see you next time. There's bloopers, I'm sure. And for all the nice things that I'm saying about Big Bad Toy Stu. Blue Order. Blue Order. Man. And for those who don't know, this is from a show and then it makes no. Answers, no. We're all aware of. No, that's not a way to put it. And with all these nice things that I am saying about Big Bad fuck. But then you start to realize, no. And another thing, no. Whew. And because I am unable, or I probably this kind of music. Anywhere in sounded like I blah, blah, blah. And it seems that slightly sooner in ever own his entire blah, blah, blah. Next up is we are planning on no, we're not planning on, we're doing. And of course I can't pick up blah, blah, blah. As though, and this is called Blue Order. If I can talk. 2 hours away from fuck, and you know a lot of fuck. No, you don't know a lot. Just I did say that. First rap. Nope. Oh yeah. Like, and that record. God damn, this thing heavy. What's it called? I'd like to see anybody who has Willie Nelson with Willie Nelson. That's awesome. And I did.